When you subscribe to WROK on YouTube, you never miss a meeting.
All right. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I guess I'll call to order the Monday, October 11, 2021 ROCF meeting to order. And we're going to begin quickly with the approval of the agenda.
Roll call. Oh, we don't need it. Never mind.
We have motion by Commissioner Cole, second by Commissioner Perush. Discussion on the agenda. All right, with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. And so just quickly before we start, Tom, I'm going to hand it over to you, but just so everybody here is on the same page and people at home, I know this is something new. And it's not the ROFC, as I keep by memory. Every time I see ROCF, Julie and I had an exchange today. I'm like, wait a minute, what does the ROFC have anything to do with this? That's a Royal Oak Football Club. It's a youth soccer league here. And with 3 kids in it, my brain is just, word recognition apparently is a real thing. It's just in my brain. So the ROCF is set up in such that the City of Royal Oak, represented by the Commission, is the foundation's sole member. Per the bylaws of Section 4.3, it's required that the member hold an annual meeting for the purpose of electing trustees and transaction of such other business as may properly come from that meeting. We are the sole corporate member and corporation, the City of Royal Oak, a political subdivision of the state of Michigan. And today we want to look at elect and remove the corporation's trustees as a more fully described in these bylaws. For those of you who aren't necessarily aware, this is a lot of hard work that the city, volunteers, Commissioner Douglas was a big part of it. We brought together a nonprofit arm to handle all of the contributions that we get in order to effectively distribute those for needs in the community, but also as a tax deduction entity for people making those contributions, and a whole lot of governance that comes with it as well. So this is really a big thing for our city to help administer goodwill in the community. And so Tom, welcome.
I am delighted to be here at the first member meeting. You are the sole member, and this is a project that we've been working on for, I think, more than 5 years, and has been in discussion for probably more than a decade, from the prior versions of what the city has wanted, to have a fundraising arm or a nonprofit arm, a foundation to be able to bring in community dollars, to access dollars that can only go to a 501c3. And you now have a civic foundation, which we're delighted to have. And thank you for your prior approvals as we've been moving through this process over recent years. We'll go through a quick slide presentation. I will spend about 10 minutes giving you an update of where we've been, where we are, where we're going, and answer any questions you might have about what's coming up on our agenda. Next slide, please. So the fundamentals of the, is it the fundamentals one first? The background on the Royal Oak Civic Foundation is we used to be something called Roots, which was something called Acorn Foundation, a long-time account that was part of the civic operations, and changed its name when there were other Acorn Foundations that were in the media, and then Roots Foundation, after that, being an entity that was trying to engage different civic elements, but always wanted to graduate to what we're doing here tonight. Approved by City Commission officially in March of 2019, and we were formally designated as an official 501c3 organization in March of 2020. We are positioned to advise city entities with fundraising, corporate grants, direct philanthropy, special events, the whole gambit of any type of fundraising. We have expertise in this group that's helpful with that. And we have been focused squarely on operationalizing ourselves and getting our nonprofit status all set as well. And you can find us on the webpage as well at romi.gov/ROCF. Next slide, please. So the fundamentals of the group, we worked on our vision and our mission, and these are great lofty terms that we take very seriously once a month, where we try to figure out how we're relevant to the city of Royal Oak. So our vision is Royal Oak, where everyone thrives. Our mission, the Royal Oak Civic Foundation, improves the city's health, safety, and cultural opportunities by inspiring the philanthropy of residents and business leaders to support a thriving, resilient community. And we are uniquely positioned to do that because of the names you see on that slide. I've been very impressed to work with this group of volunteers. the organizations they represent, the functions they have inside those organizations, their very, very wide network of community contacts, their incredibly wide skill set, and their unique capabilities have helped us to move what we're now talking about today as an official 501c3. Just to give you a quick sampling of the background of these 4 folks, fundraising, all types. So that's anything from direct mail campaigns to special events to major gifts. We'll be developing planned giving experience over time as well. Publicity, municipal finance, governance and board development structures, promotion, and of course all of our civic commitments and civic connections as well too. So this group has been instrumental in moving this forward with the help of our staffer, Julie Lyons-Bricker, who has a lot of functions for the city of Royal Oak and has very graciously added staffing this committee to help us move forward as part of her daily work. Next slide, please. So some of the work that we've been doing recently, it's all about operations for us. We've been doing everything from policy creation to governance structure to making sure that the executive director and the evolving role that Julie will have has a job description as well too. We've been working with all the city departments to kind of get to know them, specifically with the finance group to help us understand what type of accounting structure we need to have. We had the chance to work through SHAR, of course, with your strategic planning session this year to find out what would be a project that we would work on first, which you'll hear more about in just a minute. And of course, we finished all the operational pieces around vision and mission, some strategic planning, some new board members that you'll be approving later this evening as well. And right down to our brand, you see the logo Royal Oak Civic Foundation. We were delighted to work with one of our committee members, Peter Provenzano, and Oakland Community College's graphic design department, and have a student competition where they were able to present lots of ideas as these students were learning about brand development and having the chance to interact with a lot of folks who develop corporate brands. And this was the outcome that we had, and we're very, very pleased with it. So our first fundraising event, next slide, was something that came as a conversation out of your strategic planning. And that was that we looked at community hunger as being an issue that still needs resolution. So in a very quick way, we put together a promotional campaign working with 3 local partners, and we're able to raise about $20,000 very quickly to help these groups in the midst of COVID to support their mission and be able to help even more folks as well. So it was a project that we were able to activate over a very short window and have some good success as our first official project as the Royal Oak Civic Foundation. Next slide. So we've also had other fundraising. A lot of this is based on money that comes in from corporations or individuals as well. And you'll see that we've raised about $81,000 this year. Our job is to pass through money as much as possible and also to raise money for unrestricted grants to the city as we develop and grow older too. So you'll see some of the grants that we've been able to provide as pass-through to the Senior Center, Animal Shelter, the library, the Memorial Day Parade, and of course the campaign for hunger that we did as well. And knowing that we do have some unrestricted funds left out of what our total balance is from last year for future granting. And that's one of the next things we're working on. How do you grant out money and how do you do it in an efficient, impactful way as well? Special thanks to some of our larger donors who have been connected to us. Beaumont Health, Robertson Brothers Homes, Home Instead, and the Allen Family Foundation. Next slide, please. So here's a bit of our business, of what we talk about every time we meet for 2 hours, once a month. We have this, beyond our agenda, we're always focusing on who are we supporting. You can see the list there: the Animal Shelter, Library, Nature Society, Commission for the Arts, Seniors, Parks and Recreation, Historical Commission, Public Safety Committee, and other needs is identified. So we've left it open-ended as well for other projects that might come forward. But we always talk about what do we want to accomplish this year. It's always on our agenda. Who do we need to add to this group for where we're going next as an organization too? Being very strategic about what our next operational needs are and finding volunteers that have that skill base. Again, you'll be voting on Darian Newbecker and Amanda Sears as part of tonight's member meeting. But one of the questions we ask ourselves every meeting, and it's probably the most important question that any group that volunteers with a city or any organization, how are you relevant? And how are we relevant to the city of Royal Oak? And it is kind of a guiding factor beyond our vision and our mission. We want to make sure that we're being impactful, that we're doing what you need us to do, and that we have an impact on the city of Royal Oak that is visible and means something as well. And a lot of that comes out of our former iterations of what this group had been too, so that we're always looking forward, we're never looking backwards. And we're also trying to build a reputation. We want to be a credible source of support, and we want to be a problem solver for Royal Oak as well. Next slide, please. So our focus of operations right now, we are meeting with as many of the entities that need money in the city of Royal Oak now to find out what, if you had the opportunity to raise funds, what would you need? What would be on your wish list? What are you currently doing in terms of fundraising as well too? So we're cataloging all of the elements happening in the community so that we know what groups are doing that might be parallel or might conflict as well. We're working on publicity and promotion so that we start to get some visibility in the community. Board growth as well, that we're adding 2 to 3 new members per year. What fundraising focus we'll be doing next, we're going to do some larger elements now. So that's direct mail, that's trying to engage the residents in a more informational way before we do some targeted fundraising. Trying to make sure that we're getting larger groups involved with impact. And then we're now working, because we've been in business for about a year, on how we calendarize our operations too. So we have a list of what happens every month of the year as well. Next slide, please. So just as a broad stroke, we want you to know where we're going. That we have a longer term vision, of course, but what we'll be doing over time, and specifically from 2022 to 2024, because we meet officially once a year and want to make sure that we are staying connected to you. We are so lucky to have Shar, who's our regular connection to this body, but we want you to know how we're looking at long range needs in 2022, what we're doing with board growth, focusing on some events that are happening already, and how can we maximize some fundraising inside of those events for the city as well. And what we can do to start increasing funds that would be available for application for a granting process in the next year as well. In 2023, we are going to continue to verify our value to you and the city. We'll continue to add additional board members, probably some high recognition folks, some more PR, folks with a PR background as well, and some administrative volunteers, because we think we're going to start to become an operational group that will need some extra staffing. And we don't want to burden your paid staffer, Julie, with all those pieces. So we're definitely future focused on how do we stay ahead of the work that's coming our way. We'll be expanding our grant writing campaigns to be able to access more money for that's available to 501c3 organizations for the civic functions. And then we hope to raise funds for a major high visibility project in the next 2 years as well. And by 2024, we are positioning ourselves to solve a problem. It's a lofty goal, but we'll be working with you to find out something that we can work on community-wide that you would help to advise us on, that we can improve our community with. And you'll see we're looking at getting ready for tax preparation, starting to get into planned giving as well, and being able to engage residents who have been in Royal Oak for a long time, who are the folks who have really seen so much change in this community, and having them invest in a legacy as well. Next slide. And that is the end of the presentation. So I'm standing for questions. Any thoughts about what you've seen this very, very talented group that I could not be more excited to be involved with do over the next few years?
Well, just, Mr. McGinn, thank you very much for the presentation. The board members that you listed there along with the support, I know every single one of them, and they're just great community contributors, and I don't think you could have a better board in place. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, it sets the expectations high with that amount of talent on that board. So grateful that you guys are taking the initiative here to really do something special, and glad that we have, good hearts, good minds on the board to do great things. So that's my first comment. Any questions? Okay. Well,
Easy enough. I think
there
you
you
have
go.
some business as our official member to conduct that helps move us into our next year. Thank you very much for your
Perfect.
time.
Thank you, Tom. All righty. That brings us to item 5, which is approval of the trustee candidate slate. I think we're going to get a list here. All right. Ms. Linesbricker, is this just something where somebody from the table here would make a motion? Or is it something that we're gonna, I mean, I think we've read the bios. Commissioner Perush?
I will move that we appoint these individuals to the Board of Trustees.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Perush. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Macy. All right, discussion? Commissioner Douglas.
Yes, both Mr. Newbecker and Ms. Sears have been attending on an ad hoc basis our last couple of board meetings. Mr. Newbecker has, as an executive at Robertson Homes, was already instrumental in a significant gift to the foundation, and we leveraged part of those funds in our food hunger or food insecurity campaign earlier this year. He brings corporate skills, and he's also works in finance for the company, and I know he and Julie have already talked about some of the processes that we use, refining and improving them. The calendarization was one of his suggestions. Ms. Sears, as a nonprofit executive, brings that expertise to us. I'm especially pleased because she's involved in the Area Agency on Aging, and senior programs are something down the road that we expect to be addressing. I think these are two excellent candidates that fit very neatly with the 5-year plan that Mr. McGannon described.
Any other discussion? I'll just add impressive resumes, and also Mr. McGannon, Commissioner Douglas, I like the approach that the team is taking to look for and target and find the right diversity of backgrounds to make this foundation strong. I think, and when you look at the impressive resumes here of everybody on board, especially the 2 that are up for appointment here, you know, like I said, I'm very hopeful and optimistic, and I think it's a great strategy, and I'm glad that you guys are putting it into action. Any other discussion? All right, on the appointments, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right. We just grew the board by 50% or so. All right, so that brings us to item 6, which is public comment only for the Civic Center Foundation.
Civic Foundation.
I'm sorry, yes. It's been a long day. I get up early. My daughter's in swim, and every day is just a blur. Civic Foundation annual member meeting. Any public comment? All right, with none, I will end public comment, and that gets us to item 7, which is an adjournment of this annual meeting. We have a motion by Commissioner Perush. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Douglas. Discussion? All right, no discussion. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. We're adjourned. We have 9 minutes until we start our regular city commission meeting. So wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Linesbricker. Thank you, Mr. McGannon.
Good job, Tom.
Thank you, Commissioner Douglas, and